Revenge Story with Anjo.
Elora Hayes remembered the sound more than the pain. The screech of tires, the heavy thud, the way the world spun before her body hit the asphalt. Lights blurred, sirens wailed somewhere far away, and the sharp taste of blood filled her mouth. But through it all, one voice cut through, cold, measured, and unmistakably familiar. "Take her to the cheapest ward," her mother, Denise, said flatly. "If she dies, at least we don't waste money." The driver stammered, trembling, but Denise's tone stayed calm, businesslike, like she was settling a grocery bill instead of her daughter's life. Elora tried to speak, but nothing came out. Her chest felt crushed, her legs numb, her vision fading. For one fleeting moment, she saw her mother's face leaning over her, not with fear, not even pity, just irritation. "You always bring trouble," Denise muttered. "Even the road's tired of you." Then the darkness came, heavy and complete. When Elora opened her eyes, the ceiling swam above her in a haze of flickering fluorescent light. A nurse leaned over. "Don't move, sweetheart. You've been through a lot." Elora's throat felt like sandpaper. My mother," she croaked. The nurse hesitated. "She left after signing some papers. Didn't leave a number." Elora tried to sit up, but pain flared through her ribs. Beside her lay a plastic bag, her torn jeans, a cracked phone, and a note in neat handwriting. "Don't come home until you can pay your debt." She stared at the words until they blurred. "My debt," she whispered, voice breaking. The nurse squeezed her shoulder gently. "Rest now. You'll need your strength." 2 days drifted by in fragments of light and fever. Nurses came and went, their footsteps echoing on the cracked tiles. No visitors. No calls. When a young doctor named Dr. Patel arrived with soft eyes, she frowned at the chart. "You're lucky, bruises, fractures, but nothing internal." Elora managed a weak laugh. "Lucky isn't the word I'd pick." The doctor smiled sadly. "You should rest a few weeks." Elora turned her face away. "Can't afford rest." Patel studied her. "Your parents." "She's not waiting for me," Elora cut in. The doctor paused, then said quietly, "Then rest for yourself, not for them." On the 4th morning, she signed her own discharge papers. The nurse protested, but Elora had already swung her injured leg off the bed. Each crutch step sent lightning up her side. Outside, the air smelled of exhaust and rain. She took a deep breath and limped toward the only place she had ever called home. When she reached the porch, her mother opened the door halfway. "Oh," Denise said, eyebrows rising. "You're still alive. Guess the hospital wasn't cheap enough." Elora gripped her crutch. "You left me there." Denise shrugged. "You shouldn't have been in the road. That driver did more damage to his car than you did to yourself." Elora blinked hard. Behind her mother, the hallway glowed warm. The scent of coffee drifted out as though life had gone on perfectly. "I just need my things," she said. Denise folded her arms. "You don't live here anymore. We cleared your room, sold your desk to pay the electric bill." Elora's stomach turned. "Where am I supposed to go?" Denise gave a faint, practiced sigh. "You're 23, Elora. Time you stop depending on me for everything." A moment later the door clicked shut, leaving Elora staring at the peeling paint. For the first time, she realized her mother wasn't angry. She was done. That night, she slept on a park bench near the corner store. Her casted leg throbbed beneath the thin blanket a stranger had left behind. Across the street, her mother's house glowed gold through drawn curtains. She could almost hear the television laughter, smell dinner. A stray dog limped close, its paw swollen. It sniffed her hand, then curled beside her. Elora stroked its fur slowly. "We're both unwanted, huh?" she whispered. The dog sighed and pressed closer. Beneath the cold street lamp, something inside her hardened. Not bitterness yet, but the beginning of resolve. Days blurred together. She scavenged cheap bread and water, sleeping wherever shadows stayed dry. Then one morning the owner of the corner store, a quiet man named Mr. Duncan, caught her wiping the windows with a rag she'd found. "You looking for work?" he asked. She nodded. "Then sweep inside." That was it, no questions. She swept, mopped, stacked boxes. The ache in her back became routine, the silence between them oddly safe. When she received her first small pay envelope, she stared at the bills for a long time before whispering, "I'm still standing." Mr. Duncan noticed her limp worsening. "You should rest," he said one evening. "Rest costs money," she replied. He studied her face for a moment. People like them never realize what they've lost until you stop being there to use. She said nothing, but those words settled somewhere deep. That night, curled on her cot in the back room, she repeated them until sleep came. A week later, while stocking shelves, Elora froze. Denise entered the store, perfume thick enough to mask the cheap soap smell. "Do you carry imported wine?" she asked loudly. Her tone made the small shop shrink. Elora ducked behind the counter. Mr. Duncan handled the sale without blinking. When the doorbell chimed behind her mother's exit, he turned. "Friend of yours?" "Something like that," Elora muttered. "She didn't see you," he said. "Good." For the first time, she realized she no longer wanted to be seen. As weeks passed, Elora found a rhythm: work, eat, sleep, repeat. She saved coins in a jar labeled rent. When the jar filled, she rented a small room behind the store. The walls were cracked, the ceiling low, but the key in her pocket felt like freedom. "Congratulations," Mr. Duncan said. "You've got your own kingdom now." She laughed softly. "A very tiny kingdom." Yet that night, lying on the thin mattress, she felt something she hadn't felt in years: peace. Her peace cracked one afternoon when she saw Brittany, her younger sister, across the street laughing with friends. The girls wore glossy hair and expensive handbags. Elora hesitated, then crossed over. "Hey, Britt." Her sister looked up, smirked. "Wow, you actually survived." Her friends snickered. "Still working in that dump?" Elora smiled faintly. "Still pretending you're kind?" Brittany's jaw tightened. "Mom says you attract accidents." Guess she was right. Elora leaned closer. "Then you should keep your distance." For once, Brittany didn't laugh. By the end of that month, Elora's limp eased, and Mr. Duncan trusted her with the register. "You've got a good head for numbers," he said. "You could run this place someday." She smiled. "Maybe I will." Each evening, after closing, she'd count receipts, humming softly to herself. The girl who once begged for approval now built something steady, coin by coin. Outside, autumn leaves piled against the windows. The world, for the first time, wasn't cruel. It was quiet. Then one night, as she swept the floor, a shadow filled the doorway. Denise stood there, makeup smudged, eyes red. "Your father's sick," she said quickly. "Hospital bills. I can't handle them. You've got savings, right? After all we did for you." Elora stared. "After all you did to me?" Denise's lip trembled. "Don't talk like that. I'm still your mother." Elora set the broom aside. "You told me not to come home until I could pay my debt. I did. I spent it surviving." Denise's face hardened. "So you'd let your father suffer?" "You let me." The silence that followed was colder than winter air. Denise opened her mouth, then closed it again. For the first time, she looked uncertain. "You'll regret this," she hissed. "Maybe," Elora said. "But not tonight." She turned the sign to closed and locked the door. Through the glass, she watched her mother walk away, shoulders shaking. Elora's hands trembled, not with guilt but with release. Mr. Duncan stepped out from the back. "You all right?" "I think so," she said. "Feels strange being free." The next morning she walked past the old house. The car sat in the driveway, one side crushed, windshield spiderwebbed. Denise's pride and status gone. Elora felt no triumph, only calm. "Justice doesn't need noise," she whispered. She kept walking. 2 days later they came to the store together, Denise first, forcing a smile, and behind her, Marcus, Elora's father, on crutches, neck in a brace. "Elora," he said weakly. "We came to talk." She stayed behind the counter. "You're blocking the aisle." Denise's smile cracked. "Please. We've lost everything. The bills your sister left. We have nowhere." Mr. Duncan quietly stepped into the back, leaving them space. Elora folded her arms. You call me a burden while I bled on the street. You sold my room. You told me I was better off gone. Marcus winced. We were scared. No, she said softly. You are cruel. Denise reached out a trembling hand. You can't hold grudges forever. Elora met her eyes. I'm not holding a grudge. I'm holding boundaries. For a long moment, no one moved. Then she nodded toward the door. You should go. Denise's mouth opened, then closed again. Marcus whispered, Please. Elora looked at them both. You'll learn what alone feels like. They left without another word. The doorbell jingled, soft and final. Weeks passed. Business grew. Mr. Duncan offered her a full-time position and helped her enroll in night classes. Accounting, he said. You'd be good at it. She smiled. Numbers make sense. People don't. He laughed quietly. Maybe that's why numbers never hurt us. Every day she grew steadier, stronger. The ghosts of her mother's words still lingered, but they no longer defined her. One evening, while studying at her counter, the phone rang. Is this Elora Hayes? A nurse asked. Are you related to a Mrs. Denise Hayes? Elora's hand froze. Not anymore, she said softly. I see, the nurse murmured. She was admitted this morning. You thought wrong. Elora hung up gently. The world outside hummed with life. She took a deep breath and returned to her ledger. That night, she couldn't sleep. Rain tapped the window like soft fingers. She thought of Denise alone in a hospital bed, the same kind of ward she had once left her daughter in. Elora wasn't angry anymore, just tired. Some debts, she whispered, collect themselves. When morning came, she went to work as usual. A month later, she passed the old house again. The lawn was overgrown, the windows dark. For the first time, she didn't look away. She left an envelope on the porch. Inside, a receipt from the hospital showing a small anonymous payment toward the balance. No note, no signature, just proof that mercy could exist without invitation. Back at the store, Mr. Duncan found her sweeping near closing. Long day, he asked. A long story, she replied. He smiled. Then tonight, rest. You've earned it. She nodded, flipping the lights off one by one. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was peace. Years rolled quietly forward. Elora finished her classes and opened a small bookkeeping office beside the store. Customers came not just for numbers, but for her calm steadiness. Sometimes she caught herself laughing, a sound she hadn't trusted in years. People mistook it for joy. It was freedom. One spring afternoon, a teenage girl came in, nervous and thin, asking for part-time work. Elora handed her a broom. Start when you're ready. The girl blinked. You don't need my story? No, Elora said gently. Just your effort. As the girl swept, Elora saw her younger self reflected, frightened but unbroken. You'll be okay, she whispered when the girl wasn't looking. News of Denise's passing reached her through a neighbor months later. Elora sat very still. There were no tears, no relief, only a quiet exhale. I hope she found peace, she murmured. And she meant it. At the funeral, she stood at the back, unseen. The few attendees spoke in hushed tones. The coffin gleamed, modest and plain. Elora placed a single white lily on top and whispered, You taught me what not to become. Then she turned and walked into sunlight. Outside the chapel, the wind caught her hair, lifting it from her face. She felt lighter, almost weightless. In that moment she realized forgiveness didn't mean welcome, it meant release. Back home, she brewed tea and sat by her window. The stray dog, older now, grayer, curled beside her chair. We made it, she said softly. The dog thumped its tail once and slept. At dusk, she opened her old journal. On the first page she wrote, They took everything except my ability to stop caring. She closed the book and smiled. The past was a story she had finally finished reading. Her office grew busier. She hired 2 assistants, trained them patiently. Kindness isn't weakness, she often told them. It's control. They believed her, because she spoke from the edge of survival. One evening a man entered the store holding a photo. "Are you Elora Hayes?" he asked. She nodded. "Your mother once helped my wife years ago. She spoke of you often before." He trailed off. Elora's throat tightened. "Thank you," she said simply, and watched him leave. That night she sat outside beneath a pale moon. She thought of all the versions of herself she had buried: the frightened girl on the asphalt, the daughter begging for love, the woman who finally stopped waiting. "Rest," she whispered to them all. The next morning she woke early, brewed coffee, and opened her window wide. The world smelled of rain and new beginnings. She felt the kind of quiet that comes after a long storm. People sometimes asked about her family. She'd smile gently and say, "They taught me strength." No one ever asked how. And she never volunteered the story. Years later, when she closed the shop for good, Elora walked past the bench where she once slept. The same streetlight flickered overhead. She laid a small bunch of lilies there, not for memory but gratitude. The night air was cool, the city alive. She whispered, "Peace was always the revenge," and walked on, steady, free, and whole. Bottom of form.